Okay. So how did you get associated with the Night Sitter production?
Yeah, I actually auditioned for it in LA. I self-submitted, and it was just one of those callbacks where I just kind of knew that it was mine. It just felt so right in the callback.
When you submitted, what did you read anything in particular for it? Did you read a section of the script, or did you just have kind of a demo reel to give them, or how did that whole process go down?
When I self-submitted, I believe they had me just do a quick scene, and then I can't even remember if they brought me in for an audition at first, but I know for sure I had an in-person callback. And they didn't really give me much information about the script. I even remember like finding out that I got it, and I didn't even really understand that it was a horror film. Like it was it was a lot to really take in all at once. But yeah.
It, I guess when you kind of like when you first see the trailer, it comes off more of a horror comedy, but then there's sections of it that seem like it's just true horror. So it was kind of hard to nail down when I was watching it exactly what it was, what it's trying to be. Could you clarify that for me a little bit?
Yeah, I think they've created some cool characters that give it definite like comedic relief moments. I think as every great horror film has, you've got the goofy ones that kind of remind you like, okay, it's yes, it's life and death, but we can still laugh at it in a moment because you got people like ripping off fingers and not too many spoilers, but it can get pretty graphic and horrific. So you need someone to make you laugh here and there.
As far as the setting goes, was it all filmed inside that house, or was it a soundstage?
We filmed, yeah, we actually all lived in that house together for about, for me, 2.5 weeks, and everybody else I think was there a little bit longer, but it was crazy. We all shot in the home we were staying in, and we all, like slept there all together and ate together, and so it was very immersive, and we were definitely like, it was so in it and so close to the project at the time.
How did that help with the camaraderie between you as actors and then transporting that to the characters? Was there a definite change you could tell by being so close together and how you interacted on camera?
Well, for me, it was my first on-screen kiss, so I remember that was really scary for me. And Jermaine Rivers and I, who played my boyfriend, we had ended up having so much time together before we even got to that scene that it was like when we were shooting it, we could just really laugh and have fun with it, and we were very comfortable. And then, we just spent so many hours together, and we're having kind of crazy schedules. You're pretty loopy, and yeah, you get really close. I mean, I remember having so many conversations with all the other castmates. I was living in LA at the time, and they were all from Atlanta, and they were just like, you should try out the scene out in Atlanta, and they actually convinced me to pack up and move. So it was pretty. I mean, they had a pretty big effect on me.
You said it was your first on-screen kiss. Um, is it unnerving in a way, or is it kind of just we just got to get this done? Let's just do it.
I was extremely nervous. I mean, I even someone gave me moonshine before I did the scene. And I had never had it before. And I mean, we're in Nashville, so it seemed very fitting. It was this like southern setting. We were staying in this little suburban development in this big old southern house. And it was I remember just being so scared because I knew that there were going to be other people watching, and they said they were going to try to get everybody out of the room that they could. Of course, there's always a little straggler who thinks that they need to be in the room watching, but they don't. The whole thing can be very unnerving, and you want to be a good kisser, you want to do a good job, but after you do the first take, you kind of realize that we're literally just hitting a mark, and we're just having to say our lines just like any other scene.
How many takes did that take?
Oh my God, honestly, I probably blocked this from memory, but I feel like we might have only worked on it for an hour or so. They really tried to get through that, but there were a couple scenes, if I remember correctly, where we had to kiss, and so we had to do them on different days, and I'm sure I was dreading it the morning of, but this was like, 3 years ago, so I was in a much different place in my life. I think today I would be like, who cares? But at the time I was like, oh God, I hope I do well.
What can you tell us about the character that you play and what kind of arc she has through the story?
Well, she is kind of that classic bubbly character who, nobody necessarily wants her around except for her boyfriend because she's probably just going to create distractions and get in the way. And she's also there for just like a little bit of adventure, that part in all of us that really just wants to have fun and do something bad. And so, yeah, she just kind of comes onto the scene, and she just is there for the thrill. And without giving too much away, she ends up getting entangled in some pretty horrific messes. That's all I'm going to say.
I think I know where it's going. So
yeah. As you can probably assume when you're watching her, you're like, something's gonna happen to this chick.
Do you feel she kind of got a comeuppance, or was she truly a victim of whatever her outcome was?
Yeah, I would say at the end of the day, I think she's totally innocent in all this, and she really was just there for adventure, and she totally got dealt a bad hand, and I don't think it was anything that was deserving, for sure.
Did you get to take part in any of the special effects, be them practical or CGI, throughout the film?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I know it was. There was just like little things that we were doing where we created certain effects where it looked like I was lifting my boyfriend up against the wall, and there were definitely a bunch of stunts that I was involved with, which was so fun. They flew somebody out from LA to do stunt coordination with us, which I'd never done before. And I mean, to really make it look realistic, you have to put like your whole self in it, and you're definitely risking your safety every single time that you do stuff, because we didn't have stunt doubles. One of us had a stunt double, but I didn't. And so we had these crazy stunt scenes where we're having to throw these fake weights at each other and, really make it look realistic. But it was so fun. And we had like a fake knife that I had to I'm not going to give too much away. I'm getting carried away here.
Since you got to do your own stunts, is that something you'd like to do in future films, or was that kind of just, that was enough to do it that one time?
No, I think that's so fun. I would love to be able to ride on the back of motorcycles, be like Tom Cruise riding in helicopters. I would love that kind of stuff. I think it's no fun to have someone have to do it for you, but I understand there's a certain liability when you get into bigger roles.
What is your favorite film genre that you like acting in, or do you not have a preference?
Oh gosh, it's funny. I feel like I have been pretty stuck in horror, but I've definitely told myself, no more horror. I feel like everybody has to do it at a certain point. It's like a rite of passage, because I feel like you look at any actor and at some point they were a victim in a horror film. So I feel like I'm glad to put it behind me. It was a great experience, and I would just love to really just be a part of any project with, an amazing team, a great director, and a good script, and just have awesome actors to work alongside. It really doesn't matter to me what kind of, whether it's comedy or thriller or anything. I want good people around me.
What do you have coming up next?
Next month, I'm shooting a film that is basically about a girl whose little sister overdoses from opioids, and she basically discovers her sister, and then she has to deal with the death of her sister, and you meet her 10 years later in her current life. And so that's going to be pretty interesting to play a character in, a decade apart. So I've never been able to do that before, and I'm excited to share that story, especially since the director has some close ties to drug overdoses, and so she's excited to share that story, and I am too.
You said you moved out to Atlanta for that film scene. How does that compare to LA?
Well, when I was in LA, I was really just submitting myself and trying to build my, resume and really just build my career. And so out here, I actually got an agent thanks to the people who I worked on The Night Sitter with. And so, yeah, for the last 3 years, I've been just auditioning away and doing a lot of commercials, a lot of TV, a little bit of film. And I think pretty soon I'll be coming to a crossroads again where I need to figure out, all right, what's the next step? Where do I go? Do I go to New York? I definitely don't want to go back to LA ever again, but would love to, see where the next few months are taking me. So who sees what will happen with this next film that I do.
You definitely don't come here to Florida, because our film scene died, so stay far away from here.
Oh no, is that true?
Well, the politicians in their infinite wisdom decided to cut all the tax incentives for the studios.
Jeez.
So all the actors that I know just suddenly became unemployable.
That's horrible.
So they all either moved to Atlanta, LA, or Louisiana, which has a big. It's more of a niche film scene, but a lot of people that
Yeah.
have a very particular look to them can definitely go there, and they're instantly
I've
cast.
heard that. Yeah, I have some friends that are doing work on like Queen of the South, Queen
Mhm.
Sugar. There's a lot shooting out there. But yeah, I mean, there's crazy stuff happening right now in Atlanta and or in Georgia in politics, and so that's kind of threatening our industry as well. So I'm hoping that we're able to overcome it. But us actors are pretty nomadic. You know, we can kind of just go wherever the work is.
Mm-hmm. Uh, what would be your advice for those actors that are starting out that kind of like live nowhere close to the industry, like say the Midwest or something like that? What would be your advice for them? Which direction should they go?
Well, I'm the biggest advocate for like if you believe that you can do nothing besides being an actor and that is your dream and you would rather die than, not be an actor, then just move to like whatever closest market you can. And if you haven't built up a big resume yet, Atlanta is definitely a great place to be because there are amazing casting directors and projects out here who will take a shot on someone who doesn't have a ton of credits, and they'll give you a couple of lines or a co-star or a guest star spot on a show, even if you don't have this like long, extensive resume. And I have friends in LA who, when I left LA, they're still pretty much in the same spot that they were when I left because the opportunities out there are a little bit more spread apart. Like they get auditions every 3 to 6 months, and I think that would drive certain actors out in Atlanta pretty crazy. But you never know. I mean, I have a girlfriend who has been out in Atlanta for a while, and she just moved to LA. And the second she got there, she got all these amazing auditions. She got a big agent and a manager. So like everyone's journey is different. So just go wherever your heart is calling you. My heart was calling me to Atlanta, so that's just what I did.